Ladies and gentlemen, this is an exclusive because today I have seen a video which explains just how much deep doo-doo Diddy is really in. But before we get into that, I'm going to need you guys to smash that like button and hit that subscribe button, plus the notification bell to keep track of all of my videos coming out in the future. But with all that stuff being said and done and out the way, let's see how much deep doo-doo Diddy is really in.
So this guy, his name is Diddy, and Diddy is in a lot of trouble. See, it's the 90s, and he works at a record label in New York City. But Diddy, he's got big dreams. He wants to build an empire, and maybe smash a little during the process. And one day, he's at this music industry party, hanging out, and everyone's drinking and chatting, and they start talking to this girl, Lisa, and to Lisa's friend. And Diddy, he thinks these girls are fine. So when the party ends, he's like, hey, come to this after party with us. So they go to the after party. And there, Diddy and an associate of his, they allegedly SA Lisa and her friend. But then, around this same time, Diddy is out on a date with this girl, Joy. And Joy is a nice girl, she's in college, and as the date goes on, I guess Diddy can start to tell that she's not really that into him. Oh, but that's not gonna stop Diddy, and he apparently slips a little something in her drink, and by the end of dinner, she's all messed up and she's completely out of it.
So, by the way, I think SA means like sexually assault. So we've established that at the moment that Diddy doesn't take rejection very well and forces himself upon young women, which is absolutely insane. And all of this stuff is happening before he's even famous. He's literally near enough throwing it all away before he's even started. I'm honestly really surprised he has gone this long without being figured out. Diddy's a fucking creep, man.
So Diddy helps her to the car, and then he takes her home, and he SAs her. Oh, and he also films it, and he shows that video to a bunch of his buddies. And then, a few years later, Diddy starts his own record label. And he starts managing one of hip-hop's most successful artists at the time. Then he becomes a successful hip-hop artist himself. So bro is just killing it. And eventually, he's just absurdly rich. Like, he's got all this money. And he buys a mansion in the Hamptons. Now, at this mansion, he starts throwing these huge parties where everyone dresses in all white. They're called white parties. And he invites a ton of celebrities and musicians and models and other people who are up and coming. Now, these white parties, they're pretty much like standard industry parties. In general, nothing too newsworthy is going on at them, just celebrities partying. Except sometimes. Like at one of the parties, Diddy meets this kid, who we'll call Anonymous. And Anonymous...
Oh my goodness. So there's kids at this party as well as celebrities, and we've already established that Diddy was a creep and a monster who likes to SA people before he even became famous and powerful. We're doing this shit to the wrong fucking people, man. What kind of role models are we bringing into the world, man? It's nuts.
Is 16 and not sure what he's doing at one of these parties, but he really wants to get into the entertainment business. So when he meets Diddy, Diddy is like, I can make you a star, kid. And Anonymous is like, alright. And so then Diddy is like, but I'm gonna need you to take your clothes off first. And Anonymous really wants to be a star. So,
is this guy Bieber? There's no way this guy's Bieber. Is he Bieber? Surely not. I thought Usher made Bieber. I'm going to have to do some research into that. Surely that's not Justin Bieber.
Fortunately, he does. And so then, fast forward a few years, and it's the 2000s now. And by this point, Diddy is established hip-hop royalty.
It's a little bit early for that to be Justin Bieber, isn't it?
He's doing whatever the hell he wants. He's allegedly partying with tons of underage girls at this point and drugging them, or he's asking his staff to drug them. But then eventually, his record label, they sign this hot new singer. Her name is Cassie. And Cassie is 19, and Diddy thinks she is fine. Plus, she can really sing well. So Cassie and Diddy, they hit it off, and ultimately they start dating. And they date for a while, but at some point, their relationship turns dark. See, Diddy, he likes to party. We've already established that. But along with his white parties, he also hosts these other secret, more exclusive parties called freak-offs. And at these freak-offs, shit tends to get crazy. Like he allegedly invites young, attractive women to these freak-off parties and gives them lots of drugs and alcohol. And then he allegedly makes them smash with male sex workers while he watches and films it. And apparently these freak-offs happen often, and sometimes they last for like days at a time, like they're fucking Coachella. And the worst part is he allegedly makes his girlfriend Cassie participate in them. In fact, speaking of Cassie, Diddy is very controlling when it comes to her. Like one day, he sees her talking to another talent agent, and I guess he gets so jealous and so mad at her that he pushes her into his car and he kicks her several times and her face is all messed up from it. And another time, he gets so mad that he throws a hot frying pan at her. Bro is just a monster. And if you're like, Ray, then why doesn't Cassie just leave him? Well, she tries. Like one time, Diddy and Cassie, they're in a hotel room and they're arguing. And suddenly, pow, Diddy just punches her right in the face. And later, he ends up passing out because I guess he's just wasted. And so he's passed out and Cassie's like, sweet, now's my chance to leave. And so she gets her suitcase and she steps out into the hall. And there's actually security footage from the hotel of her headed to the elevator. But then Diddy wakes up, and I guess he's naked, so he like grabs a towel, and he runs out the door after her. And you can see him here, he's running down the hall. And so she's in the hall, and she's waiting for the elevator, and you can see Diddy walk up to her, and suddenly... Now, I can't show you this part because it is really, really violent, but I'll explain it to you. Diddy grabs her by the neck, and he throws her to the ground, and he kicks the shit out of her.
Oh my good lord. I didn't even see that part of the video. I thought he just like tried to talk her back into the room or something. Diddy has gotten away with this for way too long, man. I honestly can't believe that this shit is just coming out now. I know obviously it's easier said than done when it comes to this type of stuff. No, it's literally the victim against the famous person, and it's highly unlikely that you'll succeed because of the money and the power that they've got. But how he's gotten away with it for so long is unbelievable. It's baffling. And clearly, the more he's gotten away with, the more it's escalated over time. And the celebrities involved should have been a whistleblower or something, man. This guy's an absolute monster.
Until she's unconscious and no longer moving. Like, it is brutal. There is no defending it. Now, the good thing is that eventually Cassie actually does break up with him. Allegedly, they go out to dinner, and she breaks the news to him, and as you can imagine, this really pisses Diddy off. So, what does he do? He follows her home, he forces his way into her place, and then sadly, he essays her. Oh, but Diddy's not done, because years later, it's now 2022, and he's still acting like a monster. And one day, he hires a producer / videographer to help him out on some projects. This guy, Lil Rod. And he wants Lil Rod to produce a few songs on his next album, and he wants him to follow him around with a camera filming lots of things, like documenting stuff for him. And this seems like a good gig for Lil Rod. He's producing music, and he's hanging out at parties with hip-hop royalty Diddy. How cool is that? But, of course, like with all things Diddy, soon enough, things start to get really bad. Because eventually, Diddy has him filming things he's not so cool with. Like, Diddy's got him filming the drugging and essaying of minors. And of course, it's only a matter of time before Diddy sets his sights on Lil Rod himself. Because one night, they're all drinking and Lil Rod ends up with a spiked drink, and he passes out kind of suddenly, and he wakes up naked in Diddy's bed. And he doesn't remember the details of anything, but he does know that he didn't consent to any of this. And so, despite all these horrible things going on, it seems like everyone in Diddy's inner circle is either too afraid or too complicit to say or do anything about any of this. And he's just gonna keep doing all this, and he's gonna keep getting away with this evil shit. Until... In 2022, New York State, where most of these crimes happened, they passed legislation called the Adult Survivors Act. The Adult Survivors Act allows victims of SA a 1-year window to sue, even if the statute of limitations had run out. Even if the SA happened way back in the 90s, victims could still sue for it during this 1-year window. And that changes everything. And so, kaboom, Cassie suddenly hits Diddy with a lawsuit, accusing him of abuse and SA. And one day, after she files the suit against him, he makes her a huge settlement offer, and she accepts it. So they settle out of court for what I imagine is an astronomical amount of money. But then, about a week later, bam, Diddy is hit with another lawsuit by Joy.
Shit.
And the same day, pow, Lisa sues him for SAing her too. Then, Lil Rod sues him, and eventually,
shit.
Anonymous sues him as well.
Wow.
Oh, and it's not just them. The lawsuits just keep coming in. And Diddy and his attorneys, they're denying any wrongdoing, but the headlines are just dominating the news. Okay, but then it gets even worse for Diddy, because the feds step in. Now, they've been investigating him for a long while, for sex trafficking and for some other stuff. And once they have enough probable cause, kaboom, Homeland Security raids Diddy's properties in LA and Miami. And they find a bunch of stuff there, like drugs and like 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Literally 1,000 bottles of baby oil, which I guess he used at those freak-off parties. I don't know, I'm not a baby oil person. But anyway, all of this is making the news, and these stories and these accusations are blowing up. And people are like, yo, did Diddy really do all this crazy stuff that he's being accused of? Surely not. But then CNN gets a hold of that hotel security footage of that time he assaulted Cassie, and they release it to the public. And so the world finally gets to see what an awful person he is. And so now Diddy has to go and post a video on his Instagram making this big apology.
I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
And while he does apologize,
there isn't a saint on earth that can forgive Diddy for all the shit he's done. Honestly, if this law hadn't have come out in New York, it never would have he would have gotten away with all this shit. Look at him watching what I'm talking about. You know what you did, Diddy, you fucking crazy monster. Honestly, I'm gobsmacked. And I can't help but feel that if the UK had passed some sort of similar law to this, Jimmy Savile would have been caught a lot earlier than after his passing, and he'd have been able to, have some sort of punishment for everything he did. Instead, it all came out after his death, and, well, what good is that to anybody? It's just, he's died. He can't be punished for it. He's dead. But I have to respect this law that come out in New York, man, about these stories and these accusations and everything never would have come out. They never would have gathered enough evidence against Diddy, and they never would have brought him in, and justice may never have happened.
For what he did to Cassie, and he tries to get the public back on his side, it just doesn't work. Diddy is officially a meme, synonymous with sexual misconduct. And even if he did somehow get the public back on his side, it doesn't matter, because the feds are still very much investigating him. And so, boom, they finally arrest him. And he's charged with sex trafficking and racketeering and transportation to engage in prostitution? Jeez. Now, in this video, I only talked about a few of the accusations and a few of the lawsuits he's involved in, the major ones. But at this point, Diddy's been hit with literally dozens of other lawsuits involving SA and other things that I didn't even get a chance to talk about. And allegedly, there are as many as 120 more lawsuits coming. 120. And I couldn't possibly make a video long enough to cover all of these accusations. I don't have the budget for that. So that being said, this video is only a fraction of what he's been accused of, and hopefully we'll cover more next year when he actually goes to trial.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's not even the tip of the iceberg on how much shit Diddy's done. Honestly, that is gobsmacking. I'm speechless. All I can say is, I hope justice comes out for everything that this man has done, and I hope that the victims involved have some sort of closure with whatever punishment is given to Diddy, and I just hope justice prevails in all of this. But with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that wasn't too extreme for anyone viewing this. This is just like Ray William Johnson said, the tip of the iceberg of the stuff this man has done. But I had to do a video on it because it was just so intriguing to me. But I really hope you enjoyed that, ladies and gentlemen. I've been Rated R. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Please take care and peace.